Welcome to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast, a free resource for moms raising young autistic children. I am your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created Thriving Moms of Autistics after years of experience working with families and having my own autistic child. I coach moms of young autistics one-on-one to tap into their strengths, create a supportive community, set firm boundaries, and raise their autistic child with confidence. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get to it.
Hi, Mom. You pour your heart and your soul into raising your child, into all that you do. But this often leaves you running on fumes, right? So it's super important that you reduce the stress the best that you can. And having a village to support you is one of the best ways to do that, one of the best ways to distress. Unfortunately, so many moms don't have that. There was a time when I didn't have that. And that's why I created Thriving Moms of Autistics, because I want others to have that as well. And it could be overwhelming to even think about creating a supportive community. And as moms, it feels like just one more thing to add to our list, right? And I don't want you to be like me. I don't want you to wait until you have no other choice. Because that is hard, and I just don't want that for you. So in this episode, I help you prepare for building your supportive village and give you tips on how to get started. So find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com/80. And please share the podcast with other moms to help them grow in their autism journey. You can also do that by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, because that furthers our reach and other moms can get to know Thriving Moms of Autistics as well. We also have a YouTube channel for Thriving Moms of Autistics, so check that out and subscribe. I appreciate you. So it doesn't seem like it's a really big deal to other people, to be surrounded by support. But that's the case for us. And because so many people don't get it. And well, we are teetering, as my husband says. The thought of one more thing can really stress us out. So let's talk about lightening your load and reducing your stress to prepare you for creating that supportive community that you really must have. So here are some ways to reduce stress and prepare. The first is to acknowledge your fears and your feelings associated with this. That's really important. And if you hide from it, or if you just ignore it because it is scary, that does not help, because ultimately it makes it worse. And it adds more to your plate in the end. So we know you don't need that, right? The second is to prioritize self-care. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have time for me, right? But when you prepare to build your support system, is self-care, and it is family care. So it benefits everyone, right? The next is to be mindful. You could do this simply by taking a moment to prepare your nervous system and taking some deep breaths. Now, I know that sounds so cliche, but it really does make a difference. I mean, there's science to back it up. Now, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, like most human beings, I don't breathe properly, and that impacts my oxygen intake. As a result, I don't think clearly. And this is actually so much more simple to fix than you think. So one thing that you can do is to breathe in deeply for 4, hold for 4, out for 5, and then hold for 2, and then repeat. So breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 5, and then hold for 2 and repeat. You repeat until your heart's content. Just till you're in that better place. Um, and it's amazing what that can do for you to bring you back to homeostasis. Now, the next is to identify stress triggers related to building a support system. This is a really important one. And this might be experiences that you've had with others in the past who didn't get autism. And it might seem hard to find others who do get it. So why bother, right? No, 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 no. There are people who do get it. I promise. Sometimes it's just hard to find them, and it takes a hot minute to do so. So when you're aware of your triggers, or what scares you, in these moments of taking this step, when you are aware of those triggers, you can shift away from them more quickly when you're aware of that. So it is important. And the next is to be realistic. Sometimes we want those who have hurt us in the past to be a part of our journey. Even though someone has hurt us, it's still, we may still want them in our lives. And that happens often. So as human beings, we do seek out relationships. And that's very important for us. However, it is okay to recognize that that one person might never be what you need them to be. I'm going to say that again. It's okay to recognize that that one person might never be what you need them to be. That is a very hard fact of life. And there are others who are willing to be the gift to us and share in our celebrations and our sorrows. And I know I have those people from my past too, that I really, really wanted them to be a part of my life. But it's just not the cards. And that's okay. We can move forward from that. And also, we want the best for our kids, right? And, have the best for ourselves is the best for our kids. We want people around them that are going to be supportive, right? So now that you've prepared yourself, um, now what? How do you start building your autism community? Well, in episode 80, I explored how to build a strong, supportive community. So here are some tips to get you started now that you are mentally prepared to take on the task. The first is to consider your online and local options that may already exist. That's a great place to start. And I think I mentioned Facebook has a lot of groups for caregivers, special needs, children. And you might have some local meetups too. Um, Now, I recognize that there is a difference between online and face-to-face. Okay? Many differences. Now, I'm a professor and I actually teach a course in psychology of social media. That's one of my favorites. It's so interesting. Now, we often explore how people are willing to say things that they would never say if you were face to face. They're willing to do that online. It's a safe place for them to do it. So just keep these things in mind when, you do choose some of these groups. There's always going to be one that, you're going to be like, seriously? Um, Not everyone is going to be your cup of tea, and vice versa. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I know, right? So that's okay. You could just keep scrolling. Don't give it your energy and time. Find what works for you, what's good for you. Don't mind any of that other junk. Just scroll on past that. Now, the second is to ask your spouse or partner or somebody really, really important to you that knows you well about their vision for your support system and get some really good insight from them, especially if they're on the journey with you. And the final is to ask help when needed. Now, this isn't something we do very often. We try to avoid it because we're too busy taking care of everything else. But it's okay to ask for help. And when I started reaching out, looking for my support system, the owner of my son's ABA gave me some ideas of local options. So it's not weak to ask for help. That is a strength. Now, I hope this gives you the hope and guidance that you need and really gets you thinking about that. And I know that there are times you ask yourself, can I do this? Can I keep on? You can. And I believe in you. Now, I look forward to our time together next week. See you next.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other moms of autistics about the podcast. Let's support each other. Find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com. And be assured, you are not alone in your journey.